One. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name's Extreme and this is Shadow Boy. This is the semi-finals of the Challenger Cup, sponsored by Tier Monster and hi-rez Studios. This is another round of Sanguine Esports as Team Aces vs Sanguine Esports heading into the semi-finals. Bands coming out already. Looks like it's going to be a Zeus first band coming out for Team Aces.
Yeah, Team Aces probably have some kind of strategy in line with that Zeus ban, but we'll have to wait and see how the rest of these bands go. Of course, Raijin getting banned out as well. And after watching Sanguine Esports for what will now be the third time, there's so many things and little nuances that I like about watching these guys, because initially we saw them, they were the team that isolated one character, picked on that one character as long as possible. Then we saw them transition from that role and having an aggressive jungler to having a passive jungler, showing that flexibility to transition from one strategy to another. I'm always interested to see what they're going to end up picking and banning here. And after it's all said and done, the only thing different about the bans from Sanguine Esports is the Athena ban, and Team Aces is picking up the Susano.
Yeah, Susano is going to be very interesting to see. This is the first time we've seen him today. I believe we saw him yesterday on the EU side of things, but Susano has been very much banned out. A lot of teams are very afraid of him, so we'll kind of see how he does in this game. It'll be interesting to see. He's a very strong character, and we've seen a lot of work done on him.
Well, with Sanguine Esports waiting on their second pick, they've already locked in Soul, so going right back to that mid lane Soul, I'm assuming. Covey not defeated or beaten from the fact that he was held down to such a low KDA the last game, feels still confident that he can make a big impact in this game with that character. And to be fair, Soul last game was top 3 player damage pretty much the entire time, so Team Aces doesn't have an easy road if they saw last game and think that Covey is just going to lie around and die. But they've drafted themselves a pretty good team for themselves. A Janus as well as Apollo brings a lot of global presence to the map.
Certainly it does. Also, Covey did manage to end up having top player damage in the game at the very end. So, even though he was down, he was certainly not out of it. He was certainly just outputting all kinds of damages. Now the band's coming through here. This will be very interesting to see how Susano does, how Sanguine Esports will end up dealing with this Susano. Just the early game pressure coming out has been absolutely insane. It was a week ago that we saw a Susano in the mid with a power pot. That was a lot of fun.
I mean, it was fun, and that's just the name of the game. Surprise your opponent, and you can make big plays happen. That's how it always is, how it always will be. I mean, there was a couple of times where we see crazy things like a Hebo jungle, and you're not necessarily sure what to expect or how to deal with it. You can only take guesses and roll with it. But with this Thor on the side of Sanguine Esports, I feel like they have the team fight composition that they want. They've always seemed like they prefer fighting as a group rather than winning lanes individually. And this should play to their advantage, having an assassin that's as hyperactive as Thor can be. Now, Thor hasn't had necessarily the greatest performance of the day. He's been kind of always somewhat behind. This might be the first time we see, though, Sanguine Esports taking a Thor and actually putting him ahead.
Yeah, we will see as an Artemis pick comes out of Sanguine Esports. Now, this is going to be interesting.
Artemis always a character that has been looked down upon. A long time ago, she was reigned supreme just for the fact that her traps acted as wards as well as traps. So that was always cool. But now, if you're a very highly skilled player, you can make Artemis work. And that's why you don't see a lot of players use her, because you have to practice it, you have to perfect it. It's almost in the same light as Uller, but I would argue that Uller is possibly a little bit easier to play than Artemis at certain times. Now, rounding out this Team Aces, we've got Cabrakan and Sobek, a lot of CC, a lot of front line in the form of magical damage. Going to leave some opportunity room for Apollo and Susano to do more damage, because Sanguine Esports might prioritize building some magical defense to deal with the Cabrakan. But on the other side, Sanguine Esports rounding out their draft with, of course, the Sun Wukong, the late game bruiser champion, being able to disrupt and reset himself so many times in a fight.
Yeah, certainly. Wukong also has a pretty good matchup versus the Cabrakan, able to use the Tiger Stun as well to stun out Tremors. That's certainly going to be a really big help in the laning phase.
Well, you can also knock him up.
Yeah,
You can
I
both.
mean, he can use pretty much any one of his animal forms except for, of course, the bird. But he's got a lot of options to disrupt Cabrakan's tremors, which is certainly going to help out that solo lane matchup. Wukong also has a lot of escapability, so it's going to be very hard for Team Aces to lock someone down. I think. I think a lot of their focus is definitely going to be on trying to get this Artemis early, trying to get her behind, so she's going to stay behind and let Apollo kind of go off in this dual lane.
Who's going to win? Who's going to take this away and move on to the finals? We'll have to wait and see. You guys go ahead and let us know what your opinion or thoughts on the game is. And we'll go ahead and get ready and set up for the game as we wait for the pause screen to finish up here. Don't worry, guys. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the action. Aces versus Sanguine Esports in the semifinals. Sanguine Esports we've been following for quite a few games, and now let's see if they're able to take that same consistency and translate it over to a win against the Aces. They did struggle a little bit against risky behavior their last game.
Yeah, certainly that last game was very close. It ended up being a nail biter, and it just ended up with a tiny positioning error that ended up leading to the downfall of risky behavior. But now we'll see what happens next as we get into game here. Looks like Team Aces is going with a couple pots on the side of both Cabrakan and Susano. They want to go for that very aggressive start. I definitely like that, especially Cabrakan needs that early game damage, especially going into the Mark of the Vanguard there for that early bit of protection.
Yeah, that is a very interesting choice to go Mark of the Vanguard with the purple pot. Some people will will probably look at that and just be like, well, wait, what's your true objective? Do you want to do damage or do you want to be tanky? And it's a little bit of both. Cabrakan has to be tanky just innately because his kit is designed in such a way that he's going to be taking minion harassment for quite some time. And so to not have some kind of tankiness would spell for death for him, especially against a Wukong, who has a lot of reach, a lot of chase potential if his opponent does get really low. Now, that being said, realistically speaking, I was expecting at least one meditation to come out, especially from the Sobek, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They fear some kind of chase potential more so in the early stages of the game than they fear getting dangerously low, which is interesting because between Thor and Artemis alone, I would think that I would want my meditation for the AD carry.
I would definitely agree with that, but I mean it's their own team's opinions. Looks like the fire giant creeps are going to be cleaned up, and Covey now sitting at level 3, Janus sitting at level 2. Fun Crush taking a very aggressive start as Mirage not really able to help out Man Ray here in the mid lane. This is going to be awkward as, well, Man Ray did not opt going a potion, instead going for the for the Lost Artifact, going for that little more of an almost safe start. You don't have to worry about as much dying early. Covey is very much going to be reliant on that potion to help him get through the early game. As now Fun Crush just trying to take pot shots at Man Ray.
I think the reason that Janus is not electing to go for a purple pot is just a more consistent build because Unstable Vortex is able to clear really early on. That's not an issue, I don't feel like, for Man Ray. I think more so of an issue would be him wasting gold potential in other ways. But a little bit of a pinch maneuver happening here on the Man Ray. Uses the portal to get to a safe spot while Mirage makes his way over to the right side of the map. Might find a potential kill onto Medieval, but probably spotted out here soon. In fact, no, it wasn't spotted out initially. Just going to try and make the kill happen anyway as Thor starts to make his way over. No ultimate available, so he's going to have to take the 2-foot express, and they're not going to be able to get anything done with that.
Ooh, now Medieval coming into lane. He does have an ultimate, so he's sitting pretty happy. Mirage, though, getting very low. He's sitting level 3. Now they may just be looking to collapse, and Fun Crush gets the kill.
Yeah, that's dead. Unfortunately, they invested way too much into that and ended up paying for it. And it looks like Zekroy, with a beautiful wall stun from Thor, did get cornered. Unfortunately, they just didn't have the damage to finish it out.
Ooh. Oh, not able to catch the back there was Fun Crush. As now Jens just continued farm up. He hit level 5, so he's just looking to try and find that farm, help him, secure even after the rotation coming out of Covey there.
So for today, for the first time, we're seeing a Thor actually ahead of his team in both experience and, almost experience and gold. So this will be the first time we've seen Thor in an advantageous spot. Maybe we'll also see some ultimates used in a very aggressive manner. As you can already see, Mirage really suffering in the jungle at this point. Level 3 still, in comparison to his opponent who's level 5.
He did lose his pot as well, so he's going to be very, very far behind. It's going to be very hard for him to catch up now, as an invasion is coming out. The speed buff was stolen away by Fun Crush's Zekri 40UI, whatever it is. Trying to engage, Fun Crush goes up in the air, and it's going to be for naught, as that speed buff was stolen away. That's really going to put Mirage even more behind.
Yeah, just keep your opponent down as long as possible, and then it's pretty much a done deal for you at that point. If you can make sure that the opposing jungler who may not have a kit designed to be a really early aggressor, like say a Thanatos or something like that, you're gonna have to suffer the long ride. And then Susano, you isolate and focus onto one particular thing: high CC or high CDR and ability spam. And if you can't do either of those in the early stages of the game, you're effectively useless for a while.
Oh yeah, definitely is. Another aggressive path coming out. Covey and Viper decide to invade the red buff of Man Ray now, as Dingo Dial getting really low. He has to use his ultimate to try and escape, but Covey dive in the tower. Disapparate does manage to save him. Dingo Dial now
Epic
going
Uppercut
down.
used as a disengage tool, and Mirage, even though walked into it almost. Mirage, even though he's level 5 now, even just Epic Uppercut alone did a huge chunk of damage over to the mid lane or the jungler. So he's pretty much effectively and for a long time will be behind.
Yeah, this is not going to be a fun time at all. Meanwhile, in the solo lane, Medieval getting very low, but Zekra 40 just trying to chase. But he is going to lose some minions to the tower. Just there's a little bit of gold here. But yeah, that just trying to get the kill on a Medieval and playing it a little too aggressive, maybe losing some pressure of his own. He's sitting now at level 7, Medieval level 9 as Fun Crush takes up into the air.
Crush going up into the air, thinking about coming down into the mid, does do so, gets a lot of damage off, but unfortunately, wrong side of the wall, not going to be able to lock down Man Ray. But taking a look over at the dual lane, been awfully quiet. Artemis is sitting at 3,600 gold, while Apollo, after he finishes his wave, is going to sit about the same. So both the AD carries haven't really had much action or anything to do at all. In fact, they are virtually even, only small nuanced differences between the two. So expect more ganks to start to make their way over into the dual lane to maybe shake up the order, give 180 carry a bit more of an advantage.
Yeah, this is definitely true. However, Dingo Dial is a little behind. He's sitting at 0-1-0 compared to 0-0-1 on that Kumbhakarna. Viper's sitting a level ahead, so he's sitting pretty comfortable. As Susano is starting to catch up a little bit, now only down a level. Oh no, never mind, 2 levels. I was just waiting for some damage as Man Ray getting a little low here from the aggressive play coming out of Medieval. Medieval now getting plucked, and Zekra 40 UI is trying to chase in. Sprint coming out of Medieval, trying to find the kill. As Janus has to use the Purification and the ultimate. He's going to go back out as now Zekra 40 UI has walled out Dingo Dial. And they're not able to recollapse onto that as the speed buff is stolen away.
Ultimate's available on Covey, and the Epic Uppercut was used by the Kumbhakarna. Not going to set up a kill just yet. However, they want to turn their attention over to the Sobek briefly, realize they're not getting that kill, so they back off. But speed buff was secured by the members of Aces, so they did a good job of at least securing that buff for themselves. Blue buff is not going to be taken, at least it wasn't worth the effort of taking, as you're going to see Covey die there. Didn't have any of his teammates with him, so he ended up paying for it. Good call of response, though, from Sanguine Esports, going for the Gold Fury. Apollo up in the air. He wants to come down and try and make something happen here. He's going to find a lot of damage on the famous Hey. He finds the stun, and the hail of arrows gets that kill. But Man Ray, Unstable Vortex, finds the kill onto Artemis as well. So no Gold Fury, 1-for-1 trade, 80 carry for 80 carry. And
now Mirage.
Maybe even a Viper kill as well, but no, in fact, that's going to be everyone getting away safely outside the 2 aforementioned.
Yep, and now it looks like an invasion going to be happening onto this red camp. Man Ray, though, still playing pretty aggressive, trying to connect on the Medieval, but Thor dunks in from the back, just trying to secure the red buff, not able to connect. So now Man Ray's going to clean up this red buff. Just a little bit off the mark. It's still pretty much I mean, taking a look at the graphs, it's still in favor of Sanguine Esports, but it is starting to swing back towards Team Aces. And
Janus forced to use the ultimate to get out of a bad situation and is able to get the mid camps on the left side, whereas right side is going to go over to Sanguine Esports. Red buff split between 3 members, so effective farming from Team Aces, and everyone's going back to kind of a lull since state of the game. But taking a look over at Apollo, interesting, going for the Ninja Tabi as opposed to the Warrior Tabi. The only difference being is that he's prioritizing more attack speed earlier rather than later.
Yeah, certainly. This is just kind of a minor DPS thing. In the end game, you get about 3 to 4% more DPS if you're going for that Ninja Tabi. Early game, the Warrior Tabi is certainly going to be more effective. Famous 8 throws out the boar, it just sits there.
Yeah, I thought that maybe she could get a kill there if it landed appropriately. Now, a lot of jostling around this Gold Fury. It looks like that's the call for Sanguine Esports. They don't have the Wrath like they did last game, so they can't make any aggressive moves towards that objective, but they still want to make sure that they have good vision control of it. Cornering off this Sobek might get a little bit of poke off. Epic Uppercut used huge investment onto this character. They definitely want to go for the Gold Fury, or at the very least get this tower, as they are going to knock it down. Tier 1 going down the middle lane. First tower of the game going down at 9 minutes and 35 seconds, and they are going to make their way back into the jungle as Apollo comes down. Kumbhakarna stuns him out and is going to be able to dodge the ultimate from Susano, but looks like they aren't going to be able to at least walk away with that Apollo kill.
Yep. Medieval trying to get a little aggressive onto Sector 40 UI, but not able to find it. Mirage will get his speed buff for free. As now, Sanguine Esports is going to start off the Gold Fury here. Viper a little low, but it looks like Famous Hate is going to be the one who's taking it, and it looks like it's just about to be spotted out here. Oh, the Janus ultimate trying to secure it. Man right now getting pretty low. He's going to get blown up by Famous Hate. Now going up in the air. Sector 40 UI does get a double kill. Trying to find Medieval now as Viper's sitting pretty low. Thor in the backline just trying to escape. Maybe collapse on the Dingodile, but not able to find it. Now Medieval going up into the cloud. Now just trying to escape and see what he wants to do. His team is out of there now, and Team Aces is going to start up the Gold Fury.
Yeah, they have every right to do so. A lot of ultimates used, nothing really left to defend or secure that objective. The only thing that Thor and Medieval can do here is possibly get a kill onto the Sobek. They do so. However, they are going to lose Thor, and they are able to stop them from doing the Gold Fury. So really good job. Pick up a 1-for-1 scenario and keep the Gold Fury. Not a bad day.
Not a bad day at all, indeed, for Sanguine Esports. They did get a tower off the end of it, so taking a look at the graphs, they are sitting about 1,000 gold ahead and 1,000 XP, which is a little inconsequential at this point, but it is going to start to add up, assuming this trend keeps going. But now, looks like Susano getting pretty low. Medieval diving deep. He wants to go hard after that Susano.
Artemis back over in the dual lane, just farming up, warding up a little bit. And in fact, they are going to make an aggressive approach onto the Gold Fury. Apollo and Sobek are in the area, but it might be a little bit too late. The Gold Fury didn't.
Team Aces
here with Team Ace actually secure the Gold Fury as the ultimate from Soul not enough, and an ultimate from Janus saves the Sobek after a heroic steal away from Sanguine Esports.
That was a brilliant steal coming out of Dingodile. I'd call that almost pure luck, but that was an amazing steal. Just able to barely take it with the Sobek 3. That was impressive.
Well, I'm really surprised that the ultimate from Soul just didn't get the job done. I mean, usually Supernova does a solid amount of damage, but unfortunately, that was just one of the moments where it just did barely enough damage to allow Sobek to Sickening Strike it for the steal away. However, Sanguine Esports still lead the charge by a little less than 500, so they hold a small advantage.
Medieval getting collapsed on here, has to pop the ultimate to try and escape. Now deciding whether he wants to go back into the fight or just retreat. He is going to back it off now. Man Ray gonna take a little bit of damage. He's gonna get popped up into the ultimate by Kumbhakarna. Now just a full disengagement coming out. Man Ray sitting at below half. He doesn't want to fight here.
3 people pushing down on the right side of the map, tier 1 tower. The objective, it looks like they have all the front line available to them. The only person standing in their way is the Cabrakan. It doesn't look like they're going to push too hard on this. They don't want to give up too much there. Meanwhile, they're going to check around the speed buff, and Kumbhakarna is pulled into a group of aces, and they're just going to back off.
Yep. Just a nice little mez coming out. But now, big rotation coming in the mid lane. Viper and Covey getting very low. Frozen Waffles does get the kill, and Viper is going to get collapsed on as well. Now it looks like they're going to be pushing up this mid-tier 1 tower. Dingodile is going to take it up, and that's going to be a dead tier 1 tower. Maybe
tier 1 tower definitely going to go down, maybe even a tier 2. No one actually backing yet to even defend the objective. They see no one there, and so this should be the green sign to go ahead and push this down as well. So a big gold swing for Team Aces after a pretty good synergy of ultimates. Thor comes down, misses everybody, and actually doesn't find a kill.
Yep. Famous 8 trying to use that ultimate, but unfortunately Tusky not cooperating now. Medieval going in the backline trying to connect with someone. Mirage, though, doing a good bit of damage. Medieval does get cleaned up there by Frozen Waffles, but Fun Crush trades out for Dingodile. Fun Crush now trying to escape as lots of damage going on to him. He's going to be trapped in between. Frozen Waffles gets a double.
Frozen Waffles with the double, and now both teams retreating as it looks like Janus thought about coming over to the wall to do something fancy, but we saw what happened when Janus tries to come over the wall and do something fancy in prior games. He ends up dying more than likely, especially if his team is not there to follow up with him. So the rest of the members of Sanguine Esports are going to make their way over to the left side of the map to possibly get some damage off onto this tower. They shouldn't be able to pick it up, but at the same time, they can at least get some good damage numbers onto it if they still decide to do so. Don't have a lot of ward vision, so probably not confident to push that hard.
Yeah, no, they still want to play it safe a little bit. They don't know exactly where Team Aces is. They actually don't really have any wards on the map. There's one in the upper right side by the XP camps on the right. That's the only ward that Sanguine Esports right now has on the map. It's their ward coverage hasn't been the greatest, but you know it's still been working out pretty well for Sanguine Esports. Taking a look at the graphs now, just in favor, about 1,000 gold and XP in favor of Team Aces after that last team fight.
Everyone just farming it up. Itemization looks to be going towards the idea of that bulky nature on the left side of the map. You've got Cabrakan sitting on the Breastplate of Valor, working on the Golden Sash. Possibly could be the Warlock Sash, but I'm thinking it's going to be an Ethereal Sash or Ethereal Staff, if it's my guess. Meanwhile, on the other end, Thor going a really hyper-aggressive damage route. This is uncharacteristic of what we've seen out of most Thor players, where they've usually been behind. He's actually going to go for penetration on penetration on penetration, as opposed to getting any kind of defenses.
He is still ahead for now, about a level ahead, and about 600 gold in favor of Thor. So he's still feeling pretty confident even after he's been dying a little bit.
They're all going to surround Cabrakan, and he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here as he's using the ultimate to set up some damage. Janus, through space and time, only hits one person, and it was the Viper. He's really too tanky to be dealing with that. Meanwhile, the fight completely turns sour for Sanguine Esports as the re-engage by Apollo sets up beautifully for a couple of kills. He's on a rampage. Frozen Waffles taking off this game, and they might just go for the Fire Giant here, depending on what they see out of the rest of these members.
Yeah, it looks like Man Ray and 40UI are just trying to chase right now. Viper and Famous 8 have to back up under tower, and looks like Team Ace is just going to go for the Gold Fury.
Gold Fury is a safe and sound call. They might even turn around and also get the tier 1 over in the left side of the map as well.
It certainly wouldn't be a bad idea by any standards now. I mean, taking a look at some of the numbers, looks like Janus is 3 levels now ahead of Covey on that soul. That Doom Orb really working out well for Janus.
Really unfortunate to see that Covey is just not getting a lot done on the soul. I mean, this last game he didn't do too well. He still kept a relatively high player damage count, but this game still kind of the same story. 2 and 4, highest deaths on the team. At some point, you have to recognize that something you're doing is causing your team to not play as efficiently as possible. Not to say that Kobe's a bad player, but if you die 4 times, there's an issue there. Janus, much safer character, obviously a little easier, so Doom Orb makes sense onto him. He's going to pick up the red buff on their way out, and actually, there's the ultimate coming out from Cabrakan. They might want to go ahead and re-engage onto this. Thor going up into the air.
Thor going back up in the air, gonna go collapse onto Frozen Waffles now. Taking a lot of gold now. Ooh, Zekra 40UI getting very low. Dingodile just trying to help peel for anyone. Zekra 40UI is probably going to go down here. They're going to collapse onto him. Oh, but he's still running. He's still able to make it out. Did finally die, though, to Famous Hate, and Dingodile and Mirage are going to escape.
So every single time that we see a moment where it looks like one team is going to be far superior to the other in a team fight, I mean, Cabrakan started out that fight excellently, but a little bit of miscommunication ended up with him not being all on the same page when he used that ultimate. And now they lost a couple of members. They lost his tier 1 tower, may even lose a second one, but instead it's just going to be buff trades yet again. So they had their red buff stolen. It looks like they're going to take one for themselves.
Yep, brilliant play coming out of Fun Crush there. Able to secure himself a kill onto Frozen Waffles in the backline, just using that Thor effectively. That full damage build is working out pretty well for him.
It is. It's working extremely well for him. Came down on a 4-man dunk. No one was able to punish him quick enough to really react, and so they ended up losing quite a few people. Now, that being said, I think the story would have been much different had all the members of the Team Aces came together on that Cabrakan ultimate. So I think at least with Thor's case right now, he still needs to build some kind of defenses. Otherwise, he's going to be in a bit of trouble dealing with Susano, dealing with Artemis, dealing with Apollo, and it's all going to come down to whether or not he's able to survive long enough to get off full Berserker barrages or get off another cycle of his abilities.
Yeah, 100%. Thor's going to need to build a little more tanky, especially heading towards the later stages of the game. Mirage is actually pretty tanky. He does have that Breastplate of Valor online going into a Void Shield. Looks like he's going to head back to base, but now Viper getting plucked. Although Fun Crush is
a good opportunity. Good opportunity for the members of Team Aces as Artemis is all the way on the other side of the map. Apollo is coming in from the sky. Who's going to land on? Doesn't land on anybody. In fact, lands over in the middle lane. Artemis is here now, so this is an even 5v5 situation. What looked like a good fight turned into just a stalemate as they had the opportunity. Not sure if they had the knowledge, but they ended up going back to tower. So
Fun Crush getting plucked. Yeah, Fun Crush getting a lot of damage taken onto him. Artemis 40U, Zekra 40UI does get blown up by the Soul Ultimate. Now just trying to knock up someone is the Susano now. Medieval diving in deep, trying to find someone. Viper throws Dingodile up in the air. Dingodile going down to Medieval. Now this tier 2 tower is going to be sieged. Fun Crush and Viper just trying to push it down. Now 3 members left of Team Aces as Sanguine Esports going to push down and maybe go for the Fire Giant.
Sanguine Esports now seeing 1,000 gold above their opponents. They're turning their attention over towards the tier 2, much safer objective, and allows for potential of getting another set of kills, depending on how quickly they want to try and aggress onto Team Aces. So safe play, safe decision. I like it. They're going to go back, spend their money, and end up in a pretty good spot to defend the Fire Giant or push onto it.
Taking a look at the graphs right now, a 3,000 XP swing in favor of Sanguine Esports and about a 3,000 gold swing as well. Now 2,000 gold in favor is Sanguine Esports. They can go spend that hard-earned gold and some items. Looks like Thor going to be building that high diversion, going for that little bit of defense.
Now Wukong making his way over to Fire Giant to ward that up as Gold Fury spawns in 25 seconds. And they might go ahead and ward that as well to gain a bit of a advantage in vision control. And actually, not even a sentry ward on the Fire Giant, so a bit of a waste of money. Hold on, Thor comes down onto Susano, trying to get a little bit of damage off, not doing enough to really suggest getting a 1v1 kill. In fact, he might be in a little bit of trouble here as Sobek does find the pluck into the portal, into the unstable vortex, into more damage and CC, and that should be a dead Thor.
Yep, Thor does go down here. Medieval coming in with the rotation, trying to connect onto Mirage, but now Mirage is just trying to run away. Nice teleport coming out. He's going to escape for now as Janus comes in as well. But Sanguine Esports does start the Gold Fury. Frozen Waffles a little late on that ultimate. But now there's a big team fight going on. Viper is setting someone up in the air. Zekra 40UI does get a lot of damage taken on him by the Soul Ultimate as well. Dingodile in the back trying to peel for someone. Zekra 40UI still being run down by Sun Wukong as now it's a full disengage coming out of Team Aces.
Full disengage, they got the Gold Fury. Sanguine Esports got the Gold Fury, so that's a big win in their favor. You start to see, or you look at the charts and you start to see an actual dip in favor of one team. It's been kind of back and forth. So maybe this is a moment that Sanguine Esports starts to take the lead in this particular game. But we have seen instances where teams come back and forth with these guys, especially.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's gonna be very close, right up until the very end. And Mirage has got a little bit of a hill to climb. He is sitting about 1,000 and a bit gold down from this Thor, so a little behind on itemization, but is still building very defensively now. Frozen Waffles and Medieval just boxing it out. Now,
Goodness gracious. Medieval in a bad spot. He boxed that Apollo way too long. In fact, he's dead now, and Thor maybe not far to follow. Oh, but they've already stunned out and locked in. Kumbhakarna forced to use his dash to get away. Can Dingo Dow find the pluck? Susano finds some damage on Artemis on the backside. They turn their attention over towards the jungle as Sobek wants to get the pluck on the Thor, but the wall blocks him off. Apollo should be able to get this tier 1 tower.
Yep, he's going to take a little bit of damage from the tower itself, though, as Man-Ray tries to go deep, connects a little bit of damage onto Viper with that through space and time, but now the rest of the team is going to start the engagement as Team Ace is now here looking to fight. They do have a 5-man grouping. Wukong is down. We'll see what happens. Everyone's just kind of playing that little dance around the tower.
Sobek goes in. He looks for the pluck. Doesn't find it. Meanwhile, Boar comes out. Tusky doing a little bit of damage. Supernova comes down as well. A lot of poke coming out. And Dingo Dow first to fall as Epic Uppercut used to try and set a kill onto the Apollo and does successfully give Famous Hate a chance to get a kill. That is 2 for 0. As they may have gotten a little overconfident on the side of Team Aces, only being up a 1-person advantage. Fire Giant's going to be started up.
Yeah, this is the really good call for Sanguine Esports. They know that Team Aces cannot fight right now. They do not have the global presence online. Man-Ray used his ultimate. Frozen Waffles is down. This is going to be virtually free, as no one on the side of Team Aces is going to contest.
So, Fire Giants on Sanguine Esports. A little bit of gold in hand as well. They're going to finish off some of these key items and take a look here at the items as Susano, or excuse me, not Susano, but Thor just finished off the Titan's Bane, so he has the Hide of the Urchin, getting that health mana and extra protections for each assist and kill. And then he's finishing it out with more penetration, so really leveraging his damage potential on this character. Taking a look at the damage numbers, he's actually 3rd highest.
Oh yeah, he's been playing very aggressive, just able to do all kinds of damage. I mean, even Covey, who's been a little bit shut down, but less so recently, sitting at 3 and 4, was 2nd player damage. Meanwhile, that Artemis is really going off, sitting at 5, 2, and 3, able to do all kinds of damage, destroying anyone in her way. Now going to be taking this tier 2 tower. No one on the side of Team Aces is going to contest, as the Phoenix is going to start to be run down, as Medieval here in the mid lane just throwing some poke out onto Mirage.
So all 5 members of both teams are present at these Phoenixes. It looks like the strategy from Sanguine Esports is just to divide and conquer, look for a way to just poke down one Phoenix or the other, and then accordingly put the pressure on the other side of the map. And they have successfully done so, as now you start to see the poke really come out. Phoenix still up, not even at 50% yet. Tusky came out, and it looks like Artemis might go down here soon, as well as Susano. He's going to be able to get out of a bad spot as Middle Phoenix does go down. Kobe finds the kill onto the Cabrakan as she is forced completely out of the fight. No, actually, she's able to get right back up to full health with meditation. Thor was the one who actually came out of the fight as Sun Wukong went up into the air. They're going to turn their attention over towards the left Phoenix and regroup and heal up with a Fire Giant buff and another meditation.
Thor going up in the air. He's looking to collapse on someone. Maybe Frozen Waffles is now. Frozen Waffles Man-Ray a little bit too tightly grouped up. Looks like he's just going to head back down, and instead they're going to take the left side of Phoenix and maybe head towards the Cold Fury. That's probably the best call right here. Strip away any objectives, any chance that Team Aces has to get back in the game.
Oh yeah, Cold Fury's up. They've got a very strong chance of grabbing that. It will be free. They've sentryed up the 2 entry points that the members of Team Aces could go to, but it's not really necessary. I don't see any reason for Sanguine Esports to worry about Aces defending a Gold Fury at this stage of the game, because at any given point now, with 2 Phoenixes gone, with builds pretty much maxed out, Fire Giant buff still on a lot of people, any severe fight will result in a loss. Sanguine Esports do recognize when they can finish out the game. We saw that last time when they played against Risky Behavior, and came down to the last moment where they didn't even go for Fire Giant. They just went for the win. So they more than recognize their opportunities to close out the game. You just have to, as the opponent in this given situation, look for favorable opportunities when you have your big objectives on your side. Look for an opportunity when somebody slips up and tanks Titan aggro. Look for an opportunity under Phoenix. Any of those situations is your only chance to really get back in this game. Either that or picking out this Thor because he's out of position at some point in time.
Yeah, this Thor just playing really aggressively, but unfortunately Man Ray and Dingo Dao do not spot him out. Looking for the Artemis instead, getting a lot of damage. She's going to be collapsed on, and she's going to go down here. As now right behind is the Viper. Fun Crush going up into the air. He's going to be looking to maybe escape or collapse onto Man Ray. Man Ray able to avoid most of the damage, like the Sanctuary. Fun Crush cleans it up though with the kill. Now Man Ray and Medieval diving deep. Medieval just tanking the Phoenix right now, able to collapse into Mirage. Mirage taking all kinds of damage. Mirage looks like he's going to survive for now. But Viper and Medieval collapsing into Frozen Waffles. Frozen Waffles does go down. Zekra 40UI does clean up Fun Crush though. Covey tanking the Phoenix as now Zekra 40UI does go down to Viper and Dingo Dial. One of the last remaining survivors. He might go down here.
Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and get into the well to safety. Three waves of minions just coming in. This should be the game. There's way too many minions and not enough wave clear on Team Aces at this point in time. And part of them are fire minions as well. That's game. Going over to Sanguine Esports, the third time we've watched them and the third time we've watched them pull through in what looked like a bad situation. Sanguine Esports take this one 17-15 at the 30-minute marker.
Yeah, Sanguine Esports did a really good job. Once they really started to get going, Team Aces had a bit of an early game lead on them, and then Sanguine Esports just kind of took it off. They found their picks, they found what they need to, and just started going at it. Taking a look at some of these numbers right here, Covey did end up going back to top player damage just by a hair, a meager 500 damage. Viper sitting at the bottom of the damage chart, but it doesn't matter. He's a CC machine. He doesn't need to do all that much damage.
Yeah, I really would like to see moving forward Covey go onto a different mage potentially just to get some more consistency because even though they win all these late game scenarios and even though Covey ends up highest player damage, I think that there's a couple of instances where maybe being on a different mage would make the transitioning from early to mid to late game a lot easier for them. I don't know how comfortable he feels on the character in terms of survivability. His damage output is great, but there's a couple of instances where I'm just like, all right, well, you're gonna die. Maybe you don't have the best warding or something in your favor. Your teammates didn't let you know something, but it's usually been pretty hard for him to survive. And so maybe a change can shake up Sanguine's mid-game experience because at I think the 15-minute mark is 2-4, which isn't bad. And he didn't die anymore after that point, but always good to improve.
Certainly indeed. Well, good games to both teams. We'll be right back with the finals. Looks like it's going to be the Moves versus Sanguine Esports for our final game tonight. This is going to be a best-of-3 series. We'll be right back with the first game momentarily. Stay tuned, enjoy the music. This is the Smite Challenger Cup North American Series, Week 3, sponsored by Tier Monster and hi-rez Studios. We'll be right back.